What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Father-Son Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Paul.
My name is Justin, and today we are doing our week in review. We also did a little bit of Thanksgiving review because it is Black Friday, so I hope we all had a good Thanksgiving and good start to the holiday season. And we're going to get right into this episode, Dad. We're not going to start it going. If you guys are new, please subscribe. We do about 3 episodes per week, and this is going to help you out for the playoffs, some outlooks going forward, and a lot of other stuff we're talking about too. So hope you guys enjoy this interview we had with Jesse Reeves, and he helped on the show and helped us talk about these Week 11 games and
Let's
outlooks.
Do it.
All right, guys, and today for our Week in Review episode, we are joined by Jesse Reeves. What's going on, Jesse?
What's up, Jesse?
What is going on, guys? Happy to be here.
Yeah, we hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. We're recording this on Black Friday, so a little later than we usually do it, but holidays take priority.
You guys do any Black Friday shopping or anything like that? You guys do anything crazy?
I did online.
I wait for Cyber Monday.
Yeah, right. That's what I told my wife. I'll wait for Cyber Monday. Let these other crazies go out to the stores. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to camp out. There's nothing that I need that bad. I already got a nice TV.
You're going to save a couple dollars for what? For long lines and a hassle? Nah. I'll do
and
Cyber
a
Monday.
And a black eye sometimes,
sometimes
who knows?
Yeah, especially if it's that last item there. You never know.
Oh, yeah. That's fun,
and like if you're like me, I'm 6'6", so I can't even buy clothes in stores really, so there's no point for me going in. It's just
right? Cyber Mondays. They made that day for guys like you.
They definitely
did.
Day. It's the electronics and then all the other clothes and stuff. So that's my day. Looking forward to that 2 days. I'll be on the webs doing my stuff.
Yeah, dude.
So we're almost into the home stretch of the playoffs. I'm almost eliminated from the playoffs in one of the leagues, Dad.
Which league?
Our second biggest league.
Which one?
The home league.
Yes, you said it. Yeah. What are you in, last place?
No, I'm in 10th place.
Your dad's on fire 7 in a row.
He's on 7 in a row.
7 in a row. But I don't want to be hot right now at this point going into the playoffs because that's usually when you lose.
I hear you. I'm always superstitious about that. In my league of record right now, too, I actually just took a pretty bad whooping, but it's, I'd rather take it now than before we get into that playoff setting. So I hear you on that. And
I'm starting to catch fire in our main league where Justin's in second place.
Should be in first,
but he's in second. I'm like right around that 7th spot, but I'm catching fire right now. So
yeah.
if the playoffs were to end today, we'd be playing against each other. And in case, I know you've been listening to the podcast, so he hasn't beat me yet in fantasy. So in both leagues, which is a rarity, so it's good.
I have 2 losses in our league of record, and one of them is to my dad because he had Zeke have his career day and Golden Tate have his career day. But I don't know. Other than that, I had most points, and I have Mahomes carrying me to victory. Mahomes and Melvin Gordon. We love Melvin Gordon.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big Chargers fan. I'm a big Chargers fan, so I love me some Melvin Gordon, man. That guy's on fire.
And he's got Mahomes, and Mahomes is lighting the fantasy world up.
Let's start out with that game right there. Chiefs versus Rams. 105 total points. I mean, that's the way to kick it off. Wow.
That game was absolutely insane.
That was just
absolutely insane.
I mean, you knew it would be high scoring, but who would have guessed over 100 points? Wow.
No defense, really.
Action.
478 yards for Mahomes, 413 for Goff. Mahomes had 6 touchdowns compared to Goff's 4. Defensive touchdowns were more than I thought, too. I mean, Aaron Donald's a tank. Good luck stopping that guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was. A lot of people say there wasn't any defense, and there wasn't. I mean, both those offenses were on fire. It was a crazy day, but the defenses both came up with some really huge scoring plays. So, they did have that going for them. I know when you watch games, if you were to just box score watching, you're like, geez, man, these defenses probably suck. But there was some key points in that game where those defenses, came up with some big fumbles, big interceptions, came back for 6. So it was all around just a crazy game. It wasn't just like 2 quarterbacks just going for 600 yards each and just 17 touchdowns. It had a little bit of elements of everything, which was really fun to watch, man. I think that's the best game that I've ever seen in a really long time. And from a fantasy perspective, I mean, if you had anybody in those games, I mean, maybe besides Brandon Cooks, unfortunately,
Gurley didn't
but Gurley too. I
got Gurley on one of my teams, and he's been carrying me. He didn't do much at all this game, but
I heard he was dealing with an ankle injury that game too. I know we saw a lot of Malcolm Brown towards the end of it and in the middle of the second quarter, and that wasn't too alarming. I think you'll probably see a little bit more of that in the coming weeks as they get prepared to make that playoff push.
Yeah.
And, I think you might see a little bit more of him because from my perspective with Gurley and his owners, I've always said you gotta really watch. Not that he's not very injury prone in the NFL, but if the guy is just a workhorse, he gets so much volume. At some point, that they're going to have to rest him a little bit. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way you can continue that through a playoff and potential Super Bowl stretch. So, just want to throw that tidbit about Malcolm out there too. But great game.
Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely it's something to keep an eye out for. I can see him resting in Week 16. So if you make the playoffs and make it to the championship, they may rest Gurley Week 16 and 17. So get Malcolm Brown.
I snagged Malcolm Brown 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Even in a league that I'm not contending in either. I just did it because I knew somebody else was going to do it. Because you got to be smart. You got to be smart.
That's what I do. I take the players away from other players. Like my dad needed a running back yesterday. I took away LeGarrette Blount. Didn't even start him. Probably should have started him.
Yeah, I know. I had him going in one of my leagues too.
In the home league, I won 7 in a row. But right now, I got Gurley on a bye and Johnson's injured. So my other couple running backs are Kenyon Drake and Collins. So I'm probably gonna get a loss this week because of that. But I didn't prepare well for that. But it happens. So hopefully it's just a one-week thing.
Missed practice too the other day with foot injury.
And Gus Edwards is now the guy in there. But who knows what they're gonna do there? But
yeah, we'll go to that game right now too. So we'll go to the Baltimore-Cincinnati game. Lamar Jackson, 27 rushing attempts.
Yeah.
It's college.
It was insane. I kind of had a feeling that they were gonna do that, and then after the first couple of drives, when you just saw him pull back a 3-step drop and then just tuck the ball and run, I was like, he's gonna run it 75 times today.
Yeah, they couldn't really stop it. I had 119 yards on the ground, and then they had Gus Edwards have 17 for 115 and a touchdown. So maybe this is a new Ravens. I don't know if it was a 1 week thing. If he's going to start this week, so we're going to find out.
If he's a starting running back or what's going on in that backfield. But Collins had 1 touchdown. That was it. That was basically
7 carries to Gus's 17. Yeah, wow. So I think it's the hand. Yeah.
And with it, I wasn't too sure about Edwards. That it was anything more than maybe a hot hand in a run heavy offense. But looking at Cincinnati, I mean they ranked 31 against rushing per rushing attempts. Yeah. They rank in total defense too. I think they rank the 37. They're giving up an average of 400 and something yards per game to offenses. So that could just be a feeding frenzy for guys like Gus Edwards. Potential Buck Allen, probably not. But and then I expect Lamar Jackson to just keep it on the ground as well. They succeeded with that with a lot of those option plays, and I think that they're going to continue that since he's not doing great on defense right now.
No. And then Cincinnati, you didn't really see much from their offensive game. Andy Dalton had 211 yards, 2 touchdowns. Boyd only had 4 for 71, so I'm thinking it's starting to be Boyd's kind of dependent on A.J. Green being in the lineup to take away some coverage from in order to produce. So A.J. Green. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to correct myself. That Cincy ranks 32nd against the run. They're averaging 153 on the ground. So wow.
To my point right now, I think that's just a feeding frenzy. If you're really feeling it, and you did pick up Gus Edwards on the waiver wire, this might be the week that he goes back to back, has a couple good, another good stat line. This might be your opportunity to cash in on a real big hot hand right now and start Start Jackson. Sorry.
I picked up Gus Edwards in one league where I had $0 left, so I just put him in and I got him.
Got him over me.
Yeah. In another league, I had $21 left of my $100 money, and I put all of it on him, and I didn't get him. So I don't understand that. So I had the money, I didn't get him. I had no money, and I got him. That's weird.
It's how it happens. I guess people check the waiver wire or not. I don't know. I'm surprised by that. I put in $0 too, but I think you had the higher priority since I'm winning games and you're not. Yeah.
Well, I'm winning games. It's not as many as you right now in that league, but that's okay.
Oh, hey, real quick too. I wanted to. You can edit this part out. I was looking over it. I think Baltimore actually plays Oakland this week.
They do play Oakland this week, so I like Lamar Jackson a lot coming up.
They played Cincinnati this week.
Yes. Sorry, I totally backtracked. I don't know why I was talking about Cincy in that matchup. No, that was my fault.
Last week they played Cincinnati. This week
last week they played Cincy.
So they should have a field day on Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland's right there, just slightly in front of them too. I mean, they're giving up just as many yards on the ground as Cincinnati is too. So that's that. To my same point, another feeding frenzy for him too. This could be the week that you see similar production.
Yeah, and then to put this in kind of perspective, I know David Johnson's a lot better than Gus Edwards, but the Cardinals faced Oakland last week, and Johnson had 137 rushing yards on the ground from 25 carries. So I expect them to feed the ball to Lamar or Gus Edwards way more than they did to David Johnson with 25 carries. Probably have a combined like 40-plus carries together again.
Could be.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked to see over 200 yards rushing again.
Like Jesse said, they're going to run it, but they're going to keep the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oakland's a mess right now too. They're bad on every facet of the defense. They're just I would not be surprised if you saw something similar to the Cincinnati game for Baltimore.
Yeah. So Gruden got a win last week against Arizona. He was really happy about it. I'm not going to do any takeaways from that other than Jalen Richard looks to still be getting good production and efficiency out of his touches he gets. And then Arizona side of the ball, you really can't count on much. I mean, Rosen only had 9 completions and threw the ball 20 times, and he had 3 touchdowns. So he got lucky with that one to Kirk, and Kirk looked really fast. I was actually shocked about how fast he looked on there. And Fitzgerald had 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. I don't know what this offense is doing. It's like concerning, and it's like better than it was, I guess. But this week they also go against the Chargers, and
I'm not excited about that. Our run defense does not look good. The Chargers' run defense does not look good. We just lost Corey Liuget, who's one of our defensive tackles. We lost Denzel Perriman against Oakland. If you got David Johnson and start him,
don't even think twice about starting
because his volume's gone. I mean, I think he had over, if I remember correctly, he had over 30-something touches against Oakland last week. Total touches, and he just went berserk that whole entire game, and he got a lot of volume, and I expect to see that again. I think they'll lean on him, just something crazy against the Chargers.
He started to get the volume when they made the coaching change, because the old coach, he wasn't doing nothing. Then they changed coaches, and now he's back to the David Johnson that people are used to. So it's good to see, because I got him on one team, and he's been, hit or miss. He's been frustrating for owners, and now he's finally going the way he used to go.
Yeah. And then we talked about the Chargers, so let's go to the Chargers game versus Denver. A lot of people will say Barkley or Gurley's the fantasy MVP or even Mahomes, but Melvin Gordon's got to be right up there in contention. Every single week, he seems to put at least 20 points up on the board. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I'll have Jesse
He's still slept on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just when you talk about that elite running back tier right there, a lot of people are quick to throw, Saquon in there as a rookie. I understand he's great. He's a focal point of that offense. And then you got Gurley. But you gotta look at Melvin Gordon's, his production over the past couple of years. He consistently does it. He gets the red zone volume too, and he gets it in the passing game. He gets the carries. Phillip Rivers loves to just dump it off to him. Austin Eckler's there, but he doesn't really, surprisingly, for Austin Eckler having the talent that he doesn't eat into Melvin Gordon's market share of the offense too much. And with that, you still see Melvin Gordon still be overly, hyper efficient with the touches that he does get. I mean, he has yet to top 20 rushing attempts on the year. He does generally hit 20 plus touches every single game, which is good. He gets that work through the air. He's not just a ground guy. And like you said, I mean, he's nearly hit over 20 fantasy points in almost every single game except for like 2 or 3 this season. So he's just one of my locks, man. He's one of those guys that it doesn't like game script, and you see, Phillip Rivers is airing the ball out down the field. They are constantly getting those big plays, and you'll still see Melvin Gordon hit those big 66-yard runs, 40-yard runs, 30-yard runs. He gets those chunk plays. And the guy is just good, man. He's got to be in that discussion for maybe one of your fantasy MVPs, if not, the real life talk, man. He's a go-to guy. You got to start respecting him too. I saw one of the guys, the Addison Hayes. I don't know if you guys know him, but he on Twitter, great guy. And he was tweeting that he's just another version of Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is just utilized in a different system a lot more. But Melvin Gordon's production's right up there, man. You got to look at it. Outside of his rookie season, at least.
He was in preseason. They interviewed him. Excuse me, and he was upset that they didn't put him in the same category as the top 3 or 4 running backs. So he was out this year to prove a point, and I think he's doing it.
Absolutely. It goes back to his rookie season too. He didn't have a single touchdown. He looked horrible. Didn't know what he was doing. A lot of people wrote him off after that. He was drafted in, the top 15 of the draft for the Chargers too. So it was, a lot of people didn't, they didn't look at him and say, well, this guy's going to do it. And sure enough, he did.
Even this game, he didn't score a touchdown, but he still had 156 scrimmage yards.
Dude, this dude's getting receiving work more than I thought he was going to get this year.
He's getting a lot of volume, so he's right up there with him.
I thought after Eckler last year, I thought the way they incorporated him in, I thought that Melvin was going to he was going to eat into his touches even a little bit more this year. And that hasn't been the case outside of a couple weeks. I mean, Melvin's just a lock, man. I don't know how you can't lock him in, dude. Start him and just don't even think he's a set it and forget it guy for me easily.
Yeah,
He's,
every week.
Top 3 backs right now, every week.
Him and Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers has been
My dad loves Phillip
consistent
Rivers, so
QB all year long. I said that in preseason. Here he threw again they lost.
400
but he
yards.
still threw for over 400 yards again because he airs the ball out. I mean, he's just been very consistent all year.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
I like Phil too. I like Phil. Sometimes I don't like to watch him because he makes sometimes it's hard to watch him. But his fantasy production is good, and his wide receiver core keeps him in the game. So he's a lock too for me. I mean, he's right now. He's all the wide receivers are humming. You got Keenan Allen, Tyrell, surprisingly coming out with a lot of big games this year. It's been an all around good year for that offense. So if you have anybody in fantasy from LA, you're liking it.
Oh yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, Philip Lindsay, he impressed me this game. That one carry he had, the touchdown he scored, I was like, okay, great, I'm going against him, so that sucks. But what are you gonna do? He looks like he runs hard. He's a goofball. This guy's crazy. But next game we're gonna go to Eagles. What's going on with the Eagles, Dad, against New Orleans? They just the Saints look like the most dominant team in football right now.
The Saints are. I mean, if you were to ask me to vote for MVP. I mean, Mahomes is having a great, fantastic year, but Drew Brees' interception to touchdown ratio. I mean, he had one interception going into yesterday.
Yeah.
He finally threw his second interception. What he's doing this year, he's back to the Phillip Rivers of 2 years ago. He is my MVP of the year. I'm not taking nothing away from Mahomes because he's having a fantastic year. That kid is fearless. But Drew Brees, I mean, what he's doing. His completion rate is unbelievable. He's just even some of them throws he threw
76% right now.
He's just throwing a ball with so much precise to his guys. I mean, yesterday not a star caught a ball. Right?
No one. All undrafted. 4 undrafted people caught a touchdown.
And that's without Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram even having too much of an effect on the ground game either. He just did it all through the air with guys that nobody probably knew before yesterday.
Yeah, so you saw him look dominant against the Eagles, and then yet last night, Thanksgiving, they looked dominant against the Falcons. I don't see anyone beating them in the near future. They're like the most complete team all around. They had the strongest offense arguably in the game. The Chiefs, I guess, are in contention for that, and their defense is finally gelling of how we thought they would earlier in the year, even though they didn't. So both aspects of the ball, they're playing amazing, so they're my lock for Super Bowl this year.
Back to what you said about the Eagles. What's wrong with them?
Injuries on defense.
I mean, between them, Washington, the balls, and even before yesterday's game, I said the balls in Dallas's court to win that division is so sad. It's Dallas's. It's in their ball court to win it. Believe it or not.
They're not going to win the first round. We're Giants fans, so we're not happy about this.
Hey, I don't like Cowboys either. I'm not a big fan of them. But you're right though. It's injuries on the defense. They put them in a lot of negative game script because they can't stop anybody. Yeah. They can't stop anybody, and then they put their offense in bad situations. Yeah. And with that, you got key pieces like Jay Ajayi. I know there's like a 3-headed backfield tandem, not tandem, but 3-headed backfield right now with Smallwood, Clement. Both of those guys have been pretty relevant over the past 2 weeks with the emergence of Josh Adams. He's starting to see his snap share and touches go up a lot. But that's what they lack the most right now is a run game. They're one-dimensional on offense because they have Zach Ertz. They just traded for Tate, who hasn't been a great impact yet, but it takes a little bit for a wide receiver to get acclimated, especially to an offense that's complex like that. But then you have Alshon Jeffrey, and then you have, Dallas Goedert. But outside of that, they don't like passing the ball with Wentz, who is an efficient passer. He's a great quarterback. But outside of that, they don't have anything else. They don't have that like last year where they could hit you from anywhere. Play calling was great. Right, left, over to the Colts. It's obviously left the hole. People say the Super Bowl hangover and whatnot, but right now it's just not yielding any fantasy points for anybody. And Wentz had that horrible day. Horrible day. Negative fantasy points are never, ever, ever fun. And so I think that's what they're lacking right now. And it's just not translating to bad outings for fantasy owners.
Yeah. All right. Next game we're going to go to is the Chicago-Minnesota game. Chicago played yesterday against the Lions. Their defense looked dominant. And then against Minnesota, they played Sunday night. Khalil Mack, one-armed, left-handed, pushed down that 320-pound offensive lineman. This dude's just an animal. So their defense is like a lock. I mean, if you had their defense, then you have a good chance to go far in the playoffs because they have some easy matchups come playoff time too. So,
when he did that, I could hear the tears of Oakland Raider fans just falling. I live in the Bay Area too, so I'm just surrounded by all of them. And it was just when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, I could just hear it. All the Raiders fans were crying. It was great. It was glorious.
John Gruden is not good, but Khalil Mack's happy. We know that. So good for Khalil Mack. And then on that offensive side of the ball, I mean, nothing really special happened. Trubisky still looks good, and other than the injury. And then Minnesota, they couldn't get anything going against the Bears defense except for Stephon Diggs. So holy crap, this dude had 18 targets, 13 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah,
that's my
boy.
Hey, starter message of the year. He's one of 6 receivers to have over 100 targets this year so far, and I expect that to keep going up. And he's finally having that breakout year we were talking about. And don't disrespect Thielen either, who's kind of slowed down since his 100-yard stretch, but he's still getting the work.
What's up with Dalvin Cook? Should people be worried about Dalvin Cook?
I mean, it's against Chicago, and they couldn't run the ball, and they were down the whole game. They had a total of, 14 rush attempts in combined between Kirk Cousins and Murray.
10 yards, that was it on 12 touches. So
No, nine rushes, 12 yards. So that's not good at all. I think just a hold. I mean, I don't know if they're going to use him that much because they can save his usage this year and play him as a rookie next year technically because he missed all last season and most of this season with But I don't know. What are you doing with Dalvin Cook, Jesse? Are you holding him, or are you just hoping for the best, I guess, at this point, because most trade deadlines are over?
I'm holding him right now. I know that he hasn't been extremely healthy at all this season. He had, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, he had that 77-yarder ripped off, and he showed that he still has it. He still got it. I think that, you invested a lot in him. Obviously, you're holding him, but it's a matchup situation right now. And you still, not last game against Chicago for the Vikings. Latavius Murray he only had 5 yards on the ground on 4 attempts, and that's because the run game was stagnant throughout the entire game. But if you get in situations where Kirk Cousins is going to have to throw the ball, they're down by a lot. I think that rushing attack is just going to be rendered obsolete. He's going to look for Thielen and Diggs through the air, and they're just going to try and pick up every piece of yardage through the air that they can. If they can incorporate Dalvin Cook into that somehow, I think he's going to start to see a lot better production. Obviously, we saw what he did, in his first 4-game stretch last season, being incorporated into that role. But right now, I'm sitting as a wait and see. I think that they have a couple tough matchups coming up. I know they play Green Bay, who's got they got great cornerback play. Jair Alexander's playing; he's locked down right now. Kevin King looks good. Everybody looks good on that side of the ball for the most part. I think they're sneaky and underrated right now on defense. So you could see Kirk start to lean towards short dump offs and short yardage situations for Dalvin, which is where he's going to succeed. That's where you need to get him. But yeah, wait and see approach for the most part.
Yeah, I like that. And then we talked about the Rams game being one of the best games we've ever I've witnessed my football, I guess, watching lifespan. But another good game this week was Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. They went from nothing at all, Pittsburgh on offense, to all of a sudden Big Ben waking up or something, and then coming back and then winning it in basically the last second. So Jalen Ramsey talked a lot of crap before that game. He had 2 picks on Big Ben first half, and then next thing you know, Antonio Brown, 78-yard touchdown. And then that's what started it all. And then they just came back, and Big Ben carried into a victory. He had negative fantasy points. He was -6, I think, in our league. And all of a sudden, you finished the game with 38 because of that 314 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Schuster and Brown both had over 100 yards.
Yeah, Schuster's catch. I was surprised he actually made that. He did the full body rotation near the sideline and caught it. Blake Bortles, what's happening?
Yeah, he's another guy with negative yards that week.
Yeah, Blake Bortles had 3 points.
He had a laughable 104 yards. Really, 104 yards? That's it? They had a lead early, and then just boom, nothing.
That's who he is. That's the type of quarterback that he is. Just I was told by a very wise person that if you have to, put Blake Bortles in your lineup and just don't ever watch him play. just don't even look at it till the game is over, and just don't be shocked with what you get. Because it could be anything. You see we've seen his ceiling before, and we've seen his floor. He's probably the most unpredictable guy you could put in your lineup. You just don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes he shows up and he throws for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, and sometimes he just gives you what you get, and that's that stinker.
That's that 4-point game.
I hate him, but I hate him, but I love him when he performs.
Yeah, and then Leonard Fournette got fed 28 carries, only 95 yards, and that's what I was shocked about because he started the game off, I think, with 10 carries for 88 yards, and the rest of his 18 went for 10 yards. I was like, what's going on here? Give me that 100-yard bonus, but no. But he still looked good. I think Fournette's start, and don't even worry about the matchup. He's matchup proof because Pittsburgh has a good run defense, and he looks to be back healthy. So I'm happy he actually held him out when they did. Next game we're going to go to now is Houston versus Washington. Washington looked awful. They didn't look that bad. I think Dallas won yesterday at Thanksgiving, but they didn't look too good, and Washington just played like crap. They fell on both those Amari Cooper touchdowns. I don't understand that. They just slipped and fell. But against Houston, they pulled out the victory. No, they lost because of the last second field goal by Kyan Forbath. But Deshaun Watson didn't look too impressive in my book. He had 208 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Miller got carries, 86 yards, but the receiving corps, even Hopkins, he's not putting up those stud numbers like he did last year, but he still put up a touchdown. Any other takeaways you have from this game, Dad?
Demaryius Thomas, 0 points. I think you can drop him almost and pick. I mean, it's sad to see it, but like Jesse said earlier, it's kind of hard sometimes for a wide receiver to get into the groove of things, but to have 0 points. I mean, the first time he went to Houston, they tried to get him involved early, and they did a little bit, but the big goose egg here, I think you can drop him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I didn't understand that move, when they made it. He
No.
really made, he didn't. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you love to see big trades for the deadline, and it got things shook up. A lot of people were talking about it on Twitter, but I never really understood that because Thomas has never been the same wide receiver outside of that year that he had with Peyton Manning. And he's not the guy that can play the boundaries. He's not the guy that he can't really stretch the field. So you have to really cater to him. And Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's a great quarterback right now, but you're looking at a 4-game skid where he's had under 30 pass attempts, and under 20 completion. Well, and the highest he's had in that 4-game stretch is 17 completions. He's not topping 300 yards. Highest he's had in that is 239 yards. He's just not slinging the rock too much right now. He just is not looking. So, and that's going to affect guys like Demaryius Thomas. You got guys like Hopkins who are going to require that market share of the offense, and it's Hopkins or bust in that offense right now. It's him. I'd look to start Lamar Miller just because he's going to be the guy. Watch out for Deonta Foreman creeping in to the.
Yeah, when's he coming back? When's he coming back to play?
I know he's been activated from IR. I know they have that 21-day, I believe, window to go ahead and activate him to the active roster. And we saw him eat into Lamar Miller's touches last season, So if you're potentially primed for, I mean, I don't know, this is risky too. If you're just in a 16-team league and you're primed for a playoff run, go ahead and snag him, to see if he's on the waiver wire, or if you already had him and you can take him off your IR spot. Be happy about it, because that's another guy you're probably going to be able to use at some point. Maybe not right off the get go, but that's he's somebody I would look out for, definitely.
And how about that Alex Smith injury? Apparently Joe Theismann was at the game. It was 33 years exactly later,
same
and it was
exact break, everything.
Same exact break, and the rate. I think it was almost near the same yard line, the same score of the game when it happened too, or something like that.
Yeah. That was insanity. The twist of fate right there.
That's just crazy. Blows my mind. Titans versus the Colts. Titans, they looked good the previous 2 weeks. They beat Dallas, and then they beat the Patriots, which everyone was shocked about. And then they come against Indianapolis, and they just don't know how to play football. 38-10. Andrew Luck, I think I read something on Twitter, I believe in the last 5 games, he's only had 3 pressures. The offensive line is insane right now. They're gelling finally, and they're all he's not even getting touched.
The Quentin Nelson effect, man.
The Quentin Nelson effect. His mic'd up thing was hilarious.
Oh god, he's a stud, man. He's gonna be around for 16 seasons, dude, and we're all gonna give him a gold jacket at the end of it too. Yeah. I could feel it. You knew it once he was coming out. He was shape that offensive line, man. He's a great kid.
Yeah, and then you got T.Y. Hilton, 9 for 155 and 2 touchdowns. He's had a roller coaster of a season, and I continue to stay that way. He's hit or miss, I guess. So those weeks he hits, you probably win your week. And those weeks he doesn't, which is more often than not, you probably don't.
That's the first time he had over 100 yards receiving since week 4, too.
Yeah, so he's very hit or miss, and then nothing you can really see on the Titans side of the ball. You saw Mariota go down and not play for the rest of the game, and then Blaine Gabbert coming in, do his best, I guess. I mean, I wasn't that good, but Indianapolis looks dominant. They don't have to. They're using all running backs still. I know Marlon Mack got the bulk of the carries, but it's not like Naheem.
Who are you guys starting on that Titans offense? Because I know the past couple weeks it was Davis. A lot of people, he had back-to-back games with 10+ targets, 6 receptions, 7 receptions in week 9 and 10. Went off for 125 and 1 in week 10 against New England, and I was really, really high on Corey Davis coming into his sophomore year this year. I really, really thought that we were going to see this kid explode this year. But you said T.Y. Hilton's had a roller coaster of a season. This kid's had a roller coaster of a season as well. And then comes out against Indy, only posts 2 receptions on 4 targets for 30 yards. And it was just what do you do with that? What do you do with that?
You just got to keep starting him and hoping for the best. I'm a Corey Davis owner, and I was buying into hype later in the offseason. I was like, yeah, maybe this is the year, but I think this whole offense just isn't what we thought it was going to be. we all thought it was going to be like really smooth and performing well, but it's really their defense that's keeping them in games and helping them win games, whereas their offense, running backs like Deion Lewis has looked decent, obviously, but Derrick Henry's been looked awful. Mariota hasn't looked nearly as good, so it's tough. And I think the only guy you can really feel comfortable starting, and I don't think there is one, but if you were to, I think Deion Lewis is the only guy I'm starting this offense feeling okay about.
Yeah,
we were all high on Corey Davis early in the year too, and
he's
been
just
disappointment.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I hope he can come back. I hope he can finish this year strong and then come out next season and just. But at the same time, we also have to look. I mean, is Mariota really is he a down the field kind of throwing guy? Does that offense cater to Corey Davis's play style? Because he's a guy that can do it all. I feel like he can do everything. He can play the sideline. He's a big body. He can really do everything. He's got great ball skills, and it's like, is that quarterback situation there? Is that what is that what's holding him back? I think
it is too. And I think their offensive line was ranked like I think 6th on PFF, and they're not performing like it at all. So that's all. That's both those things: the quarterback play being subpar compared to what we expected this year with the new offensive coordinator, and then you see their offensive line just not doing that good. That's also it. Yeah. Another guy who's also let me down and my dad down is Matthew Stafford. Yeah. This year. He played yesterday. Didn't look good against Chicago, but we're talking about the game he had week 11 against Carolina, and they got the win. I don't know how, but they got the win. And Stafford 1 touchdown, 23 of 37, only 220 yards. Kerryon Johnson though, Dad, he looked good, and then you got that knee sprain. So it's better than a tear
this week. But Kerryon Johnson is going to carry that team, I think, because the offensive receivers. I mean, since they got rid of Golden Tate and then Marvin Jones is hurt, you got to rely on Galladay all day long. You're gonna have Theo Riddick out of the backfield, but they're not getting no separation. And Stafford doesn't have no time to throw the ball. You seen that yesterday when they played Chicago. Yep. I mean, there was no separation, nothing. He did nothing. I don't know what's going on with that offense.
Kenny Galladay looks to be the focal point moving forward, though. I think,
yeah, but
even when Marvin Jones comes back,
they're going to double, triple team him too, and look at
until Marvin Jones comes back. Once Marvin Jones comes back, I think both of these guys are going to do well, and you can start them each week.
I mean, Blunt had a good.
But Stafford's just going to have to funnel everything through them and carry on. I mean, that's just the only thing. They don't really have too much at the tight end position. I mean, you saw Wilson and. I don't know why his name's escaping me right now. You saw them get a couple catches yesterday, but outside of that, they just literally it's carry on Marvin and Galladay, and you look at that whole entire offense right now. It's predicated on Matthew Stafford being able to throw the ball, and because they're not going to give carry on a million touches per game, they're going to split that workload, even if it's just a little bit. They're going to give Theo Riddick receptions out of the backfield. LeGarrette Blount's going to get short yardage, so they're not just going to give the whole entire load to carry on. But then you see what that offense is predicated on, and then you look at his statistics. It's like Matthew Stafford is only averaging 15.7 fantasy points per game. It's like, how do you this guy's supposed to be a gunslinger, and then you take away one of his big weapons in Golden Tate, and this is the result, right. And then you ship Eric Ebron out in the offseason. It's like this is the result that you get, and it just sucks because if you were one of the guys who preached, wait on quarterback, do not invest in quarterback in the summer, wait, and then you were like, oh, Matthew Stafford is sitting there in round 11, 12, and you're like, oh, boom, and then and now you're probably looking to stream, or you're caught in a rut, or you're not even.
Now Lamar Jackson's your savior.
Exactly, and you're just praying to God that he can stay, healthy with
him with all that. Eli Manning, like I said, he's coming on now. He's played good the last few weeks. If you need a streaming quarterback, I said that last week, and he played pretty good last week. So if you're in dire need of a quarterback, Eli Manning the rest of the year, I think is going to be okay.
And then other side of the ball in this game, Cam Newton, the comeback effort, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had no rushing touchdowns this game, which I was a little surprised about. But DJ Moore, this guy, he's the guy, yards after catch guy in college, and you saw that with that 90-yard catch and run. He almost had a touchdown, but he got caught. But he looked explosive, and I don't think Devin Funchess is playing this week. I think he's questionable.
I think he's injured right now. I can't remember for the life of me what injury it is at the moment, but that even just ups his stock, and maybe Curtis Samuel a little bit too.
I would look in the
guys. They've just been doing that offense has been doing a really good job at putting all of their weapons in positions to get a piece of the pie. So that's where I think they're succeeding right now. And then when you got Cam Newton, who can do it all as a quarterback, he can run, he can throw. I think that puts his wide receivers in great situations as well. And that's just, you're going to see some really good fantasy production in that offense.
Yeah. Funchess missing time. If he does miss this week, I think McCaffrey and Moore are going to obviously get a bump. And then you can see Curtis Samuel probably be the guy, like we mentioned, getting some of the work. Probably a touchdown. I could see it happening too. Next game, we got 3 more games to go through. We're going to go to Dallas, Atlanta. Dallas, like Cooper may be the truth for them helping get in the playoffs. But like I said, they're going to lose first round. They do make it to the playoffs because even though Dak's getting like saved by Amari Cooper, Dak's not looking good. He doesn't know how to throw the ball away and whatnot. But Cooper is creating separation like crazy. Like I don't know.
Cooper on Thanksgiving Day, oh my gosh, that one play he ran for 70, 80 yards where he caught it and juked him, stopped, and then just took off. Boom, gone.
Yeah, he's people were doubting his talent, and I was preaching his offseason that he still has the talent. Maybe Derek Carr was the problem. He's not in a good situation right now with Dak Prescott. Like that's not much better, but he's definitely looking a lot better with Dak Prescott because it's the only guy they're throwing to, getting at least 8 targets every game. So Amari Cooper, easy schedule rest of the season too. So I like him to go forward. In Atlanta, we saw him last night. They just can't do anything other than Julio just get 100+ yards. Why not? And he had that one catch last night, and then he got helicopter tackled in the air, and then the ball just flew out.
Their offense is the Falcons. I mean, they were inside the red zone 3 times and walked away with nothing all 3 times.
Saints defense is stepping up, but yeah.
That and their red zone offense, Atlanta's red zone offense has been horrible. Not even just before last night.
You know what? They missed Devontae Freeman right there in that area.
Yeah,
really
and I'm high on Tevin Coleman too.
In general, I'm high on Tevin Coleman too, but I'm not convinced that he's going to go somewhere and just get paid in the offseason. I know he's a free agent after this year. I'm just not convinced. We have not seen him outside of that one game against Washington, was it?
Yeah, Washington, I think it was,
It was a couple weeks ago. We have not seen him produce to a level that we thought that he did. When he's with Devonta Freeman, he looks like he could potentially be a 3-down back. Like a year ago, we were talking about, Tevin Coleman might be a guy that's going to go somewhere in free agency. He could do it all. He hasn't done it all. And then with that, you've seen Ito Smith come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking the past 3 games, Matt Ryan has thrown the ball 133 times. That's very, very telling for 52 in week 9, I believe, 52 times, and then 47 last night. You're thinking like, if the run game is that good and they're able to sustain in short yardage situations and move the ball down the field, that's where the run game comes in play, and they're not able to do that right now because Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith are not able to sustain long drives on short yardage situation. It's all going through Matt Ryan and the big play for the most part. And when you're throwing it almost 50 times a game, I mean, that run game's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm a Tevin Coleman owner in Dynasty, I think in all of my leagues, my 5 leagues, I have Tevin Coleman, and I'm looking to sell him as soon as he signs somewhere else. So if he goes to the Eagles, which I'm hoping for, maybe it's enticing. But like after what I'm seeing right now, he doesn't look like he can handle the workload. I'm trying to sell him, and hopefully someone will pay up because he's like an enticing player to watch, and he's like one of my favorite guys to watch. But
I think he is what he is. I think we know what he is. I think he's a tandem guy. Yeah. I don't think he's going to go to a team where he can take over a backfield and be that 3-down workhorse. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw like something crazy like Houston go after Bell and then sign Coleman. I mean, that's probably not possible because Coleman's production warrants a fairly decent payday, and you're probably not likely to get Bell and Coleman. But just that scenario in general, don't be surprised if somebody makes a move for Coleman, but as an added piece for a guy that's a change-up back because he is good in the receiving game. Yeah. He's good at catching the ball out of the backfield, so he does have value, but you're not seeing it right now in that Atlanta offense, that's for sure.
Maybe part of it is also Sarkisian. I don't really know. I know he sucks as an offensive coordinator, but I don't know if that really matters that much for running back because he doesn't look like he create any lanes, but the blocking is also not good. I don't know. It's a mess right now. Atlanta offense right now is just a mess.
Everything is a mess right now.
Speaking of a mess, Dad, the Giants organization, what's happening? We're winning games now. We beat Tampa Bay last week, 38-35.
Up your draft pick order. What's going on, dude?
I don't know. I don't want to win these games, but it looks like we're going to keep trying to win games until we're actually eliminated from the playoffs. Then we'll probably put Laletta in. But Eli Manning, like you said, looks decent. 17-18, 231-2. Odell had 4 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. I wish he had more targets, but I can't really do that.
Stole the show there, though.
Yeah, Barkley 27 for 142 and 2 touchdowns with 3 targets, and he had 2 catches.
152 total yards. I mean, he's another patient running back, just like Ezekiel Gurley.
He's patient, but he's faster.
They get that ball, and they just wait a few seconds before they make their move, and they just see that opening, and they just go.
I just wish we had an offensive line.
Is crazy.
I wish we had an offensive line.
I really thought Solder and Hernandez were going to really open up at least the left side of that line, man. I really thought that would add enough. I mean, not that we're seeing production from Saquon regardless, so I don't think but you need it for the protection of Eli. You need it for the protection of everybody. Everybody else. That offense, the Giants' offense. If you give Eli time, he will dice. You know what I'm saying? I still think he has something left in the tank, despite what everybody thinks. He does look horrible, but I think you have to look at the offensive line. I think you have to look at. The fact that he just doesn't have time in the pocket, and then with Barkley, man, the kid's a stud, dude. He's going to be the focal point of that entire offense for years and years and years, long after Eli's gone. And when he is gone, people will praise the Giants organization for taking him at number 2 because he will be a young quarterback savior in almost every facet of the game. So, I don't know how you guys felt about that pick. I loved it. I think you got to grab a talent like that.
You got to grab the best player in the draft at that point, and they did.
Yeah,
I mean,
talent over need.
They'll solve their quarterback issues eventually, but they did the right thing in the draft as far as I'm concerned. The Giants haven't had a running game in a long time, so it's good. It's good to see they got a decent running back, and they'll work with that. Every team goes through struggles, so they'll be back to be good someday.
I'm hoping we upgrade our offensive line this offseason. If we don't upgrade our offensive line this offseason, then I'm gonna be really upset.
Just like Jesse said, to piggyback off, he said, well, Eli is a good quarterback. I mean, he won 2 Super Bowls. He was MVP of 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But when he has the time, he's good. But this year he hasn't had the time to throw. And when he doesn't even. I mean, maybe because he's older, he just stands there. He doesn't even move around.
He can't.
Right away.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
You have to give him a clean pocket. He's not the Eli of old, where you see these defensive tackles and stuff. I can't remember what game it was for the life of me, but that insane play. I'm not talking about the helmet catch or anything like that. It was one that was just a random game, and I just saw him spin out of the pocket and then pivot, spin again. That's the Eli that I will always remember.
Not
anymore. Not anymore. You got to give him a clean pocket to work in. You got to give him a clean pocket to work in because I still think he has arm talent. And people might cringe at this whole entire conversation, whether you're a Giants fan or not. I know it's a toss-up, but I don't think that Eli is absolutely done. I think you give him a clean pocket. Maybe draft a young quarterback, too, that he can just give all that knowledge to, and then clean up your offensive line. I think that it looks a lot different next year. And then Saquon in the system again. I think they're just going to kill it, dude.
Yeah, we thought the Giants would be a lot better this year. We said that in preseason, but their offensive line has hurt them a little bit. I mean, they had a tough first 7 games of the season, and it showed because they didn't win any of them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to the last game. We're going to skip over Tampa Bay side because Tampa Bay's just a mess right now. It looks like Winston's starting, whatnot. But Green Bay, Seattle pull out the win. Mike McCarthy has to go. That's what that means. I mean, Aaron Rodgers saves him every single year, and people are finally I think the GM is finally realizing that. I don't know how he didn't before, but Rodgers, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 5 times. You can see he's frustrated with the offense, too. He doesn't like the play calls and whatnot. Aaron Jones looked good in the passing game. He had 5 for 63 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, he's been getting to work this year. So we both high on him. You were higher on him than I was.
High on Devontae Adams.
So he's looking really good. And
he's a guy I tried to get in every league. I got him in 2.
There you go. 2 out of 3, right? That's not bad. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, what happened in this game? I thought he was going to go off. He only had 1 catch for 8 yards. Yeah. Any takeaways from Green Bay side of the ball you got, Jesse?
Aaron Jones, man. Let that man free, dude. Give him the ball, dude. Give him the ball and watch what he does. And I think if he continues to be efficient on his carries that he does get, I think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers benefit from that. I think you're going to see the whole entire offense. I think they're going to be able to open up the play action. I think that's going to help that whole entire offense. I know Jimmy Graham is dealing with an injury right now.
Boy, Jimmy. I had to set him again this week.
I had high hopes for him this year, especially with a gunslinger like Aaron Rodgers. You got to think that's going to be fantasy production. I really thought it was going to be good. It sounds like he's going to play through that thumb injury. From what I've heard,
they're taping him up. Daddy's going in.
I sat him last week. I've been praising Jimmy Graham all season. You guys have been listening to the show.
Yeah, it's basically the Jimmy Graham podcast.
I thought he would have 10 plus touchdowns in that offense and just nothing. I mean, he's got 2 touchdowns. A couple of them he should have got, but I mean, come on, Jimmy, to make my bet work, I need a lot of touchdowns in the last few weeks. But last week I sat him. I can't believe I sat him for Hooper. I'm glad I did.
You start him this week?
No, I started Hooper this week, and Hooper got me, I think, 8.9 points or something. What am I gonna do? My poor guy.
Cry. Pour one out. Pour one out. On the other side of the ball, Seattle. Rashad Penny goes off to week 4, and they only give him 8 carries this game. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand Pete Carroll.
That offense just wants to give the ball to Chris Carson. That's all they want to do is give it to Chris Carson and Mike Davis. They will find every reason in the book to not give it to Rashad Penny, and the only reason why I think that is I don't know.
I don't have a thought process.
The game he had the week before, you got to give him the ball after what he did the week before. You would think.
You would think that they would, but I don't know why they feel the need to not have to run. What bothers me the most is that you have Carson, who only played 4 games last season, goes down. They deal with running back woes all entire 2017 season. They get to the draft. They take Penny in the first round, but guess who our starter is?
Oh yeah, we like Chris Carson. Like, what do you? I don't. That still just hurts my head. It hurts my head.
I don't get it. And then with his game against the Rams, only 12 attempts, but he went off for 108 yards and 1 touchdown. He averaged 9 yards per carry in that game. But then you follow it up with 8, which is only 4 less carries, and he only had 46 yards, which I don't necessarily think is bad. I think it's an indicator that, like, the 46 yards on 8 attempts, it doesn't scream to me great, but it screams to me that if you give this kid a workload, we're looking at, even if you give him 17 touches, you're looking at over a 100-yard game. You're looking at like 120 yards. You know what I'm saying? I would have to do the math because I'm not good at it right in my head. But if we're going on averages and stuff, but give him 8 more carries and then double that yardage total. You're looking at almost 100, and who knows what he gets if you get him close to the goal line.
Yeah, right.
I just don't. I don't get it. But that situation, the fact that I don't understand it, that turns me off to Rashad Penny. Yeah. That turns me completely off to him until he can, potentially come in healthy next season and come out and just prove that he can take over that backfield, because it's just puzzling to me. I don't know how you have that production and then the offense. Pete Carroll looks at you and says, "Well, we're going to just roll out Chris Carson this week. We're going to give you 8 touches." I don't get that. And he only saw 4% of snaps too. Like, that's ridiculous.
That game was just Pete Carroll versus Mike McCarthy's dumb versus dumber. I don't really know. That was so maybe that's the matchup we need each week. I don't know what's going on there, but that's kind of do it for our Week 11 review. Anything else you want to say, Dad?
No, just talking about the backfields. I was high on Royce Freeman in the beginning of preseason.
He's been injured.
There's another backfield. Yeah, he got injured, and Lindsey got a shot, and he's been taking. I think even last week ratio was 2-1 over Freeman, but Lindsey's a guy who's undrafted, right?
Undrafted,
and he's having an incredible year. Another backfield that went opposite of what a lot of people thought.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm not surprised about Jimmy Graham.
Just because you're right. You're only saying that because I'm wrong finally about something.
This is your biggest thing, though. This is the one thing you were.
I was so high on the guy, and just
I was high on him too coming into the
last 2 weeks.
I think that the community and the football world, I think we hang on to the type of player that he was in New Orleans, and I think we think that he can get back to that. But I just don't think it's possible. And I think where we really thought that is that he's finally gonna have a gunslinger quarterback who doesn't just, he can move the pocket, but he doesn't. He's a guy who moves the pocket to throw. He doesn't always just look to run. Right. Like Russell Wilson did when he was in Seattle. He was finally going to get back to a gunslinger quarterback. I think that's what turned me on back to Jimmy Graham, because the past couple of years I was just like, I could do without him. If I need one, I'll stream him or I'll take him or whatever. But I think that's where I got hooked on him this year. And so I'm with you.
Stick up for that mess, okay? And I'm sticking up for my man Jimmy again. Yeah. But we can all agree that the tight end spot this year has been terrible. It's been horrific. The tight end spot is so hard to judge this season. It's just all the guys you think are going to be good between the Gronks and all them, they're doing nothing.
Not even a little bit. It's you look outside that. You look outside that top.
So there,
that top 4. Yeah. There's no one. There's only 2 guys that are averaging over 15 fantasy points a week, and that's Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce. George Kittle slightly behind, Eric Ebron slightly behind, but then under that, you're looking at like Jared Cook, who's not bad. These guys aren't bad, but I just don't think we expected necessarily some of these guys like Jared Cook and Austin Hooper to come out and be top 10 backs. I mean, that's how, or top 10 tight ends. That's how weird. I mean, you're looking at Rob Gronkowski after missing the past couple games. He's sitting at the tight end 14, but that's how bad the landscape is right now, is that he can miss games and still be a tight end 2 right now. And that's insane. He's missed the past 2 or 3. The past 2 games. Yeah, they missed week 7 as well before playing in Buffalo. It's just like he's missed 3 games this season so far, and he's still in that running.
That's why I still love you, Jimmy. I'm sticking up for you, buddy, because the whole tight end spot is terrible, and unfortunately, you're one of the terrible ones. You're still in the top 20, though. We'll give you that.
That drop off between like Ertz and Kittle,
the top 3 drop offs, like
it's way off.
It goes right down.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have a 13-point difference between Kelsey and Ertz in PPR formats. Both of them are averaging around the same points per game, but then that drop off from Ertz to Kittle from 2 to 3 is just literally 40 fantasy points, and then after that, and then it's 20 from Eric Ebron down to Jared Cook. It's just so volatile. Like, man, it's disgusting. That's just wait on tight end unless you're gonna grab Kelsey or Ertz. Just wait on it, man.
Yeah, back to the drawing board for next year's tight end strategy. I think it's definitely gonna be one of the early ones, or just punt it completely because it doesn't even matter if you get a mid-tier one. That's what I think the takeaway is.
The only benefit to having either Kelsey or Ertz is that they're just they're that 4th or 3rd, depending on the way your league is set, wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason. With Ertz, I mean, that guy just gets receptions galore. So. And Travis Kelce just gets the production with his usage and efficiency is great. So it's just, I'd punt that whole entire position, man.
All right, Jesse, where can people find you on Twitter, and what do you do in the fantasy community for people who don't know you?
Oh man, people can find me on Twitter at Jesse Reeves FF. I'm the author of an article called The Rushing Report over at ffstatistics.com. You can catch me doing some one-offs here and there if a topic is really booming, or if I have the time. I'm a father and go to school full-time, so sometimes when I can squeeze those ones in, I will. But mostly I do the weekly Rushing Report over at FF Statistics. We actually are launching another new podcast over there called the Youth Movement Podcast, and we're just it's me and my guy David Wilsley, Wilsonator on Twitter, and we're just going to talk some rookies, second, third year guys, and incoming draft class. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Just trying to pump out content, have fun with you guys. Whenever I get invited to come do a fun pod like this, I got to tell you guys, because I just enjoy being out here, just talking about football. Some good people like you guys. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now. Nothing super crazy, but indulging, dipping my hands in a bunch of different pots right now.
Hey, it's definitely a good thing getting your name out there and stuff, and glad you found it. He's also, like you said, FF Statistics. Our friend of the podcast, Addison, came on. Works for him. That site's growing, so make sure you go check that out. We'll have it all in the description below. I'll have his Twitter linked, and also go follow him on there. And thank you once again for taking time out of your day, Jesse.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Anytime you guys need somebody to just come fill in and talk some nonsense with you guys just give me a shout. I'll come right on.
Yeah, awesome. Right. Sounds good. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back next week with our little 2 episodes per week. Probably going to do now number waiver wire episode, because waiver wire is kind of pointless at this point.
Right.
So we're going to go into the start sits, and we have our week in review, and we're going to keep doing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy make it this far, you obviously enjoyed it if you made it this far. So please subscribe. Stay tuned for more content we're going to put out. And, we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.